Welcome to Behind the Curtain Finance, a podcast dedicated to hopefully informing financial advisors, making them better at their jobs, and also helping investors learn how the mechanics of this business works so that they can become better investors. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, Joe Moss. He is the founder of AdvisorTechBook. He's also a prolific poster on LinkedIn, and I've learned so much from him, and I'm really excited to talk to him about a few things today. Welcome to the podcast, Joe.
Thanks for having me. I was very pleased to be invited.
Yeah. Like I said, I've learned so much from you. You seem to have your finger on the pulse of what's coming, and the things that are working, things that they're on the horizon, and you've tested out a lot of things and kicked the tires on things that I never heard of before. But recently, you posted something on FINNY, and that's a platform that I use, and you were critical of it because of something that you feel critical of in a much larger sense, which is AI, I think. So if you could, kind of share with us your thoughts on FINNY and what you think the platform can do or can't do.
Yeah, so just for a little bit of background, there's kind of within AI, there's two categories of tools that have risen to the top. There's the AI note takers, Jump being probably one of the most famous and leading the board. And then there's the AI prospecting tools, of which FINNY has kind of risen to the top. Both of these companies have raised tens of millions of dollars. So sometimes when I pick on one of them specifically, it's not that I particularly don't like that version of the category. It's just they are kind of representing the category because they're the ones that raised tens of millions of dollars. And so they're kind of, it's, if I put their name in the headline of the post, it does better. My number one post on Substack right now is about Jump. I expect the one on FINNY to be number one here very shortly. So that's just to clarify. I'm not like on a personal vendetta against FINNY, although I
Sure.
think FINNY is doing a lot of the things that I'm suggesting to advisors that are actually really bad marketing practices.
Right. So I'd like to just share with you my experience with FINNY, and I
Yeah.
think it aligns with everything that you're saying. But then there was a shift for me that happened in the fall. So when I first started to use FINNY, I didn't really know how to use the platform, and I was allowing AI to write the email chain for me, right? And I wasn't getting anywhere. Like no one was opening up any of my anything that I was sending out really. And then in the late summer, they changed. They allowed you to embed your content, a link to your content, which is my podcast. And so, I'm only a year into my podcast, and I'm trying to get better all the time. But what I try to be authentic on my podcast, and I try to, always show the purest version of myself. And so, allowing me to put that in there, I felt was, it was a sea change for them, because now I was like, okay, now I have to, like, I'm showcasing myself, so I can't really let them write the emails. So I started writing them myself, making them very personalized, right? And
Yeah.
then in the fall, they added this thing where you could connect with people on LinkedIn, and that's when I really felt like, wait a minute, this is totally different from what it was before, because now I'm building somewhat of a pipeline with the people that I'm connecting with on LinkedIn. And the people that I'm, directly marketing to are, these are highly qualified potential clients. And so I'm promoting myself in an authentic way. I'm not allowing AI to do that for me. And my open rate completely shifted to like 95%. And so I started connecting with, 100 to 150 people on LinkedIn per campaign. And so, over time, that's a pretty big pipeline, I think,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And so also, and then beyond that, now you can there's a separate pipeline within FINNY, which is all your LinkedIn connections, and you can directly market just to them to stay in front of them. Again, with curated content that you are personalized rather than AI writing it. And so I just feel like my initial experience is kind of like what you were saying. It's like that AI is not going to do it for you. You have to be more authentic, right? And
Yep.
maybe FINNY is not that. But I think that they've changed to allow for that to happen. And the potential is that, I can build a pipeline that down the road will, will yield, potential clients, but not right away. It's going to take time. I have to build the relationships with those people, and then potentially maybe a very small percentage of them will become clients. That's kind of my experience with it.
No, that's great. And I'm very happy to hear that. Something people may not know is that I've been on Finney's advisory board from like the very beginning. So a lot of the changes that
Okay.
they've made have been inspired by things that I've told them.
I didn't know
Um,
that.
yeah, so I don't think I put that in it. I've never officially been kicked off of the advisory board, so I suppose I'm still on it.
Yeah.
they just they just
Yeah.
don't listen to me.
Okay.
Um, it's no, that's great, and that's exactly my question is. I suppose what aspects of Finney then are the most valuable in that workflow? So
So
it's not AI writing the
no.
content. It's not AI writing the outreach on LinkedIn. It's just this software that manages the campaigns basically that and surfaces the prospects.
Yeah, so I think the real value with Finney is twofold. One is that you can build a very curated list of people that are, are potentially really good clients later, and that list is, my last campaign was former Meta employees that were away from the company less than a year, and there was 750 or so um, people in there that I never would have been introduced otherwise. I would never have met them, right? And so 170 of them connected with me on LinkedIn, and so hopefully I can stay in touch with them, and then, maybe they'll become clients on their own. But the other thing about Finney is that of all the things that you do in marketing, this takes the least amount of time. Like, you spend an hour a month maybe on the campaign, and then it's off and
Sure.
running, right? And
Right.
so everything else is like, it's a lot more time, and a lot more money, to market yourselves. So I think that those two things together make it. I think you just have to have it in your, in your marketing plan, because of those. It's not that expensive, and it can do so much for you down the road as it compounds, right? And as those lists build. So
I'm honestly glad to hear it. I mean, this piece of content or the thing I wrote about Finney is the best based on the response is the best thing I've ever written. I've never had like 40 to 50 people email me, message me,
yeah,
call me, text me and say this is incredible, Joe. We've never read anything quite like this. Um so the your experience with Finney is literally the first purely positive one I've heard.
mhm.
Every single other one has been negative. I've talked to people that have turned from Finney. Um, so I've talked to just basically I've talked to VCs that are in the space. Like I've talked to advisors. I've talked to the thought leaders. Like pretty much everybody seems to agree about the AI prospecting part. Like
Yeah,
using AI to do written content to blast people um, doesn't work. And
no,
I mean, before I even published this, I was chatting with Eden and I was like, why don't you say this publicly? Like, I think that the perception that I got and that everyone else was getting was like, no, you're using AI to write all this content for you and then push it out into the world. And she never responded to that. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've talked to them repeatedly, and that about my experience, um, and I've shared it with as many people as possible, because I don't look at it as a quick fix, and I think that's what a lot of advisors kind of, they use it, it doesn't work, and then they move on, right? And that's, I think that's why organic growth is so hard, because it's
yeah,
not it's hard for everybody. But in terms of the time commitment, and the amount of money that you invest in it, you just need to close one client, and then it pays for itself. I mean, that's really it. And so if you just think about it longer term, and this isn't your only marketing tool, but it's just one of them, and it takes up such little time in your workflow, that 6 months, a year, 18 months down the road, if you're staying in front of these people and you're consistent with your authenticity, there's a great chance that they'll think of you later when life happens to them, right? That's the hope.
at what point? So you at what point were you creating content and then you started using that content in your outbound?
So
Was
that
it
happened. Yeah. So I started my podcast in January. It was, and I struggled like everybody. But then I started to have guests on. It was getting a little bit better, and that's when they added that link. I think it was in August. I think that's when they added that potential to do that, and then quickly thereafter they added the LinkedIn connection in the fall. So yeah.
So my point. So actually, I was on stage with Eden at Nashville Edge in last year, I guess. I don't remember when it was, maybe
Yeah.
April. And we were talking about this whole thing. And something I said is no one likes to be cold emailed. Like if someone's never heard of you before and then you cold email them, you now have negative credibility because you've annoyed them. You've taken up time that you didn't
Correct.
have permission to take. Um, so
Hmm.
especially if you're using contact information that you sourced in ways that are legal but maybe not humane, if that makes sense. Like if you get someone's
Oh,
private
totally. I
contact
totally agree.
information and then you reach out to them, you don't have permission to contact them, so you're breaking down trust instantly when you cold outreach someone if they're not aware of who you are. Like if I message someone on LinkedIn that I'm already connected with, like first of all we're already a first connection and they probably
Mhm.
know who I am because I post a lot.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right, and that was my experience. And that, when I was allowing it to write for me, I felt that way. I felt like it was felt completely inauthentic, completely against what I'm trying to do, in everything that I do. And then, when I changed it and the response rate was so much higher, and then to add to what you were saying, okay, maybe I didn't get the contact information in the right way, but I'm being authentic. And then if you connect with me after you've looked at my website or you looked at my LinkedIn profile, I feel like that's a lot more genuine, and it gives me a chance to build on that. So
Right.
they have an option to connect or not connect, but when they do connect on LinkedIn, I feel like that's not a warm introduction, but at least it feels more like it doesn't feel so nefarious. Right.
Yeah, for sure. No, so one thing I referenced was like the golden rule of prospecting, meaning do to others as you would have them do unto you.
Hmm.
Let's say a vendor is trying to sell you a shiny new advisor tech. What is the very best possible way they could reach out to you, respectful of your time? They don't have permission to contact you using your contact data. How would you want to be prospected, basically?
I think I would feel most comfortable on LinkedIn, where I could see the tool. I could see, if they're just showcasing it, and then others share their opinions of it, and then I
Yeah.
sort of, hit a light bulb goes off, and maybe that it works for me, maybe it doesn't. But I feel like that, of all the options, if that's where I would think I would find it first, and then after that, um, maybe I reach out to them, or maybe they, who knows. But I think that LinkedIn for me is the best.
Yeah, I mean, anyone going on LinkedIn is there because they want to make connection. I mean, so I like to get super first principles about all this stuff. Every
Hmm.
single one of us is trying to make more money,
Hmm.
generally. Not, I mean, advisors are trying to make more money. Finney's trying to make more money. Josh Brown and Jason Wink are trying to make more money. I think there reaches a point where you have enough money and your goal is not necessarily to make more money. Your goal is to make an impact. And I think I'm starting to maybe understand the mindset shift where I don't necessarily need more money, but I would like to make a massive impact in this industry. And
Yeah.
so I think then you shift from I'm just trying to make another dollar to like, no, I'm actually trying to change people's lives.
Okay.
And
That's
so
really
that's,
good segue
yeah,
to Skool,
sure.
Skool. And if you don't know what that is, I'm one of I don't know what it is either. So tell us what Skool is, and tell us about the community that you're trying to build there to make as big of an impact as you can.
Yeah, so many years ago, I got into online, trying to make money online. The very earliest people, they wrote blogs, and I mean, Michael Kitces started with a blog, Josh
Yeah.
Brown started with a blog, then came Twitter. But there were a lot of like online coaches, consultants, course creators that would have a Facebook group, and then they would have a payments platform, and then they would have like a video delivery platform for their courses, and then they would have like another platform for a community. So they were managing like four or five different tools to run an online business. So Sam Ovens, who's the founder of consulting or the founder of Skool, had a website called consulting.com, and he basically sold courses on how to become a successful online consultant.
Hmm.
Um, so eventually he's like, I'm helping all these people like learn how to be better consultants, but the underlying problem is their technology stinks. So he's like, why don't I create a platform where you can take payments, you have a community, you have a calendar, you can run events, you can, record podcasts, you can have courses, people can chat with each other. So like taking all the basics of an online community and put it all in one software.
Hmm.
Um, this is the entrepreneur's dream. Like you literally, and honestly, it's the dream I'm pursuing with everything I'm talking about Advisor Tech. Like the to run an RIA right or in the past has been horrible. Like you've got to use like 12 to 15 different tools.
Yep.
None of them talk to each other.
Right.
um it's a very painful process, and I think finally, even the leap from my 2025 book to my 2026 book, the tools are so much better than they were a year ago.
Yeah, and
um
I think that they're about to, you know, to get even
to,
just insane in the next year. I mean, I've
yeah,
talked to Jason Wank on this podcast about the vertical integration there, and how when they start layering in all those agents, it's just going to be a game changer for them.
yeah,
And we'll see if all the other firms can keep up, but I think they're uniquely positioned for that.
I'm very pro human. I mean, that's part of the why I'm pretty anti AI. I don't
Hmm.
think AI is actually good for humans. I think social media started pretty positively, but then over time, I think that the general consensus is social media is pretty bad for humans. They're lonelier, they're more depressed, they're
Yep.
getting a view of life that's not accurate. Everybody's posting the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Or now that AI is involved, not the writing's not even human, the pictures aren't even human, the videos aren't even human. Like
Yeah.
nothing's real anymore.
Yeah.
And this is why also I think cold prospecting, if you're using AI to do it, is just, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because everybody's going to have an enormous distrust for anything that's not like blatantly human created.
Right. And
um
how does that figure in with School and helping advisors be more authentic?
yeah, so Skool is a fantastic platform to run a business, especially recurring revenue business. So I mean, advisors are selling advice, they're selling accountability, they're selling you know, outcomes. If you're point A and you want to get to point B, you work with an advisor to get you there with
Hmm.
advice and coaching and accountability. um that's what Skool is. Skool is the best platform on earth to get someone from A to B, and run a business doing it. So there's there's the AUM business, which is, assets under management, charge a percentage of the thing. I like
Hmm.
what Dennis Mosley Williams said. He said advisors picked the lowest number they possibly could and get away with it. They picked 1%. So it's like it's
Yeah.
it's he's like, that alone is like, this isn't very valuable, so let's pick the lowest number we possibly can. And a lot of advisors are like, no, it's still too high, let's go to like zero point 0.8 or zero point 0.7 or zero point 0.3.
Hmm.
um the point is, there's not very much value in managing people's assets. Like I think study after study after study has proven that um indexes generally manage assets. This is not investment advice, by the way,
Right.
but like people get better
It's
results overall with indexes. Whether or not that's going to be true through the ups and downs, you can pick a different time and get a different result. But I think AUM will be around for a very long time, and it's a very good business model. I mean, you can make a ton of money very scalably, and you can be a great financial advisor. I think if you are charging AUM, like 1% should positively be the minimum. Like you should never charge less than 1%, because
yeah.
1% is already the bare minimum.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I've been doing this long enough to know that the real value of what I do extends way beyond investment management, and having an enormous impact on someone's life, especially when they're going through something really difficult like divorce or death or something that's really
yep.
challenging, and helping them navigate that has been the real payoff for me and my business. And I think that it more than justifies the fee, because you're really an invaluable asset to that person. You know.
Yeah. No, and I agree. And I think it's Nick Murray's writings on the subject. His books are fantastic.
Mm.
Um,
Tell us about
but
your
where
book.
Skool
Tell us about your book, Advisor Tech book, Advisor Tech Stack, really. But yeah, it's coming out in March, but you can pre-order it, right? So yeah.
That's right. So here's last year's book. And this is a hardcover version. It's an actual book, and I'm showing you this because I was the only book on Amazon with Advisor Tech as the subject, and then this book came out. It's called The Advisor Tech Revolution. Sorry, you can't see it very well.
I got you.
I opened it up, and the very first page, there's a picture of Josh Brown and Michael Batnick and Jason Pereira, and I saw my name, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. They have my name in their book." And then I leafed through the entire book. It's my book.
What?
Every single page was pulled directly from my book.
Wow.
But there's no author. So
Goodness.
It's all my words, but there is no author, which means it gives credit to nobody.
Wow. That's so strange.
So Amazon has since removed it from their site. But this is kind of the point of this whole AI thing. AI has no author.
Yeah.
So if you want to be authentic, you want to build trust, put your name on it and actually write it.
That's really scary. Wow.
So yeah.
So now you have a new one coming out, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
And you can get it on Amazon.
You can get it on Skool right now. Basically, anything that's going to be in the book will be in the community before it's published in a physical book. So you can get access to anything that's going to be in the book by pre-ordering. You will eventually get a hardcover copy in the mail, but that's not the selling point.
Well, listen, it's been a real pleasure and an honor to have you on the podcast. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Curtain Finance. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.manettawealth.com or give us a call at 415-640-2121. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Manetta Wealth. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Copyright 2025. This content, which contains security-related opinions and/or information, is provided for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon in any manner as professional advice or as an endorsement of any practices, products, or services. There can be no guarantees or assurances that the views expressed here will be applicable for any particular facts or circumstances and should not be relied upon in any manner. You should consult your own advisors as to legal, business, tax, and other related matters concerning any investment. The commentary in this post, including any related blog, podcasts, videos, and social media, reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analyses of the Manetta Wealth Management employees providing such comments and should not be regarded as the views of Manetta Wealth Management LLC or its respective affiliates, or as a description of advisory services provided by Manetta Wealth Management or performance returns of any Manetta Wealth Management investments client. References to any securities or digital assets or performance data are for illustrative purposes only and do not constitute an investment recommendation or offer to provide investment advisory services. Charts and graphs provided within are for informational purposes solely and should not be relied upon when making any investment decision. Past performance is not indicative of future results. The content speaks only as of the date indicated. Any projections, estimates, forecasts, targets, prospects, and/or opinions expressed in these materials are subject to change without notice and may differ or be contrary to opinions expressed by others.